It was raining again. The kind of soft, grey rain that makes everything feel like a memory. Like something unfinished. I had just finished my last session. The office was quiet. Warm. Books on the shelves. Soft ticking of the clock. Everything, in place. Like my life. I closed my notebook. Reached for my tea. Still warm. Comforting. I looked at the screen. One new email. I almost didn't open it. I wish I hadn't. But I did. And then, the air changed. Hey. I'm in London. Coffee. Ethan. I froze. It wasn't fear. It wasn't excitement. It was something else. Like the floor beneath me shifted, just enough to make me question where I was standing. Ethan. I hadn't heard that name in 10 years. 10 full years. Another life. I could still hear his laugh. Still remember the way he used to touch the back of my neck when he said goodbye. Still feel what it was like, to believe that love could be enough. We were 20. So sure. So lost. No drama. Just distance. He left for New York. I stayed in London. We said we'd try, but we didn't. Or maybe we did, for 2 weeks. A month. And then silence. And then life. I leaned back in my chair. Eyes on the screen. Coffee. Like it was nothing. Like no time had passed. Like he hadn't carried pieces of me with him when he left. I looked down at my hand. At the ring. Simple. Gold. Beautiful. Daniel. He gave it to me 6 months ago, under that old oak tree in Cornwall. He said, with you, everything feels quiet. And I said yes. Because it was true. He's steady. He's safe. He shows up. The kind of man who remembers the little things. Who kisses my temple before sleep. Who folds laundry while humming 80s songs out of tune. We're getting married in 6 weeks. Everything's planned. Everything is good. So why is my chest tight? Why is my pulse loud in my ears? I read the email again. And again. It was just coffee. Just Ethan. Just the past. But my fingers moved before I could stop them. Sure. Friday. I pressed send. Then I stared at the screen, hoping I could take it back. But I didn't want to. And that scared me. I sat still. Listened to the rain. Felt my body remembering things I had trained it to forget. 100 small memories came rushing in. His voice saying, "You're the bravest person I know." The time we danced in his kitchen, barefoot, at midnight. The way he whispered "Don't go yet" into my hair the last time we said goodbye. What was I doing? I whispered it aloud. What am I doing? But the room stayed quiet. And all I could hear was myself. I closed my eyes. Tried to picture Daniel's face. His certainty. His warmth. The life we were building. But all I could see was a moment I hadn't lived yet. A table. A cup of coffee. Ethan looking at me after 10 years. My heart thudded, heavy and confused. You're not that girl anymore, I told myself. You've moved on. But part of me, the part that still remembers the smell of his old jacket. That part whispered back. Then why are you shaking? Friday came too fast. I stood in front of the mirror for way too long. Changed my outfit 3 times. Not because I wanted to impress him. At least, that's what I told myself. But every shirt seemed too loud. Every coat too careful. I wanted to look like me. But I wasn't sure who me was today. Was I Claire, the future wife? Claire, the psychologist? Claire, The woman who used to kiss Ethan under the rain with her eyes closed. By the time I left the flat, I was already exhausted. Not from walking. From thinking. My boots hit the pavement with a rhythm that didn't feel like mine. The sky was still grey. London felt heavy. And somehow, my hands were cold. I walked toward the cafe near Hyde Park. The one I hadn't stepped into in years. Not since. Back then, it was our place. Where we had coffee. Where we made plans we never kept. Where he kissed me like we had all the time in the world. And now, here we were again. Time having folded in on itself. I stood at the door. Breathing. I could leave. I could turn around. Go home. Text Daniel. Say I got caught at work. Say I forgot. But I didn't. I pushed the door open. And there he was. Ethan. Sitting by the window. Coffee in hand. Same crooked smile. Same messy hair. But something in him had changed. He looked older. Not tired, just deeper. Like he'd seen things. Felt things. Like I had. He stood when he saw me. Claire. That voice. It hit me in the chest. I smiled. Automatically. But something inside me twisted. It felt like my face remembered him before my heart gave permission. Hey, I said. We Saturday. Ordered coffee. The same place. The same table. He asked how I was. I said I was good. Busy. Tired. He laughed softly. You always said you liked the sound of tired, he said. Meant you were doing something that mattered. I looked down. Stirred my drink. My hands were still shaking a little. We talked about nothing. The weather. Work. Mutual friends we had lost touch with. But under it, there was a current. Something unsaid, pulling at both of us. I watched his hands as he spoke. Still expressive. Still his. And I remembered how those hands held my waist the night we danced in the kitchen. How they once wiped tears off my cheeks without a word. Then he paused. Looked at me, really looked. I never stopped wondering what would have happened if I had stayed. I didn't breathe. That sentence. It cracked something. Something I had built carefully, piece by piece, over years of pretending I had no more questions. My throat closed. Words sat there, afraid. Because the truth is, I wondered too. In quiet moments. In dreams I never told Daniel about. In the space between falling asleep and waking up. I looked away. Out the window. The rain had stopped. People passed by, living their simple, dry lives. But inside me, it was still storming. You look happy, Ethan said. I smiled. But it broke halfway. I am, I said. I think. He nodded. Didn't push. He always knew when to let silence speak. And there it was. That silence. Not awkward. Not heavy. Just honest. A silence that didn't demand answers. Only truth. Then he stood. Want to take a walk? I hesitated. I should have said no. I should have stood up and left. But my body remembered too. We walked side by side through Hyde Park. Leaves on the ground. Children playing in the distance. A breeze that smelled like before. We talked. Laughed a little. He told me about his life in New York. How it looked good on paper. But felt like something was missing. I didn't say much. Because I didn't trust my voice. Then, somewhere between a shared memory and a quiet moment, our hands brushed. It was quick. Just a second. But something inside me sparked. My breath caught. I pulled my hand back. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. But in that 1 second, I felt more alive than I had in months. Not because I wanted to go back. Not because I didn't love Daniel. But because for the first time in a long time, I didn't know what I wanted. When I got home, Daniel was in the kitchen. He was chopping vegetables. The smell of garlic and rosemary filled the air. He was humming something familiar. I think it was Fleetwood Mac. It was the kind of scene that should have felt like comfort. Like home. But all I felt was stillness. Heavy stillness. He looked up and smiled. "Hey, love. Good day." I nodded. Hung up my coat. Faked a small smile. "Busy," I said. He walked over. Kissed my forehead. His hands were warm. Steady. "You look tired." I nodded again. But the tired I felt wasn't from work. Not from walking around the city. Not even from seeing Ethan. It was deeper than that. It was the weight of pretending I was okay with not knowing. I sat on the couch. Shoes still on. Still holding my bag. Daniel kept cooking. Soft clinks of the knife on the board. A pan sizzling. Normal sounds. And I hated that they felt like noise. My thoughts were loud. So loud. Why did I go? Why did I say yes? Why did I feel so much? And worse. What does it mean that I felt more awake with someone I haven't seen in 10 years than I do sitting here, in the life I built? I closed my eyes. Tried to picture the wedding. My dress. The music. My father walking me down the aisle. Daniel's face at the altar. It was all beautiful. But somehow, it felt like I was watching someone else's memory. Not mine. I opened my eyes. Daniel was plating the food. Still humming. Still certain. And I suddenly felt like I didn't belong in my own future. He brought me a plate. Sat next to me. "You've been quiet," he said. I nodded. My mouth was dry. He looked at me. "You okay?" I didn't answer right away. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to mean it. But something inside me, the part that had been silent for too long, finally whispered louder than my fear. "I think I need a little space. Just this weekend." He blinked. His fork halfway to his mouth. Did something happen? I shook my head slowly. No. Not really. I need to breathe. I wasn't lying. But I wasn't telling everything either. Because I didn't know what the truth was yet. Only that I had to find it, alone. Daniel looked confused. Not angry. Not hurt. Just unsure. "Okay," he said, softly. "If that's what you need." That's the kind of man he is. I packed a small bag. Left the apartment before the sun was up. Walked by the river, the air still damp with the breath of dawn. No music. No calls. Just footsteps and water. I didn't call Ethan. Didn't text him. Didn't tell him anything. Because this part had nothing to do with him. Or Daniel. This was about me. Standing in the space between two lives. Not running away. Not running toward. Just standing still. Finally. I sat on a bench facing the water. Let the cold bite at my fingers. Felt the wind press against my chest like a question. And I asked myself, what do you really want? I didn't know. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid to say that out loud. I wasn't trying to fix it. Or figure it out. Or make a decision that looked good on paper. I was just listening. To the quiet. To the ache. To the pulse under the confusion. Sometimes, we think love is about choosing between two people. But it's not. Sometimes, it's about choosing yourself. Before you can offer anything real to anyone else. Maybe I'll marry Daniel. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll see Ethan again. Maybe I'll forget the sound of his voice. But right now, I'm here. With my feet on the ground. My heart cracked open. And a quiet voice inside me saying, "You're allowed to not know. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to want more. And for now, that's enough." If this story touched something in you, tell me in the comments. What ending would you like to see? Should Claire marry Daniel? Should she follow her heart back to Ethan? Or should she stay on her own path? There's no right answer. Only the one that feels true. And if this story made you feel something, leave a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next story.